So now, the topic today is solving quadratic equation by completing the square. And let me just introduce there's other quadratic equation that you cannot factorize. It's not easy to factorize. And if it's not easy to factorize, for example, you can't find a number, a product of a number, and also find two numbers that will add up to the middle number. That's the values of b, because the equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So if that's the case now, you hold yourself in that, we have this other method that is called completing the square method. In completing the square method, what does this entail? It entails addition of another number to make it equal or to make it factorizable. So we may be having an equation like ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And note that a, b, and c are constant. So one thing you're going to do is make a to be 1. Make a to be 1. So that you'll be left with x squared plus bx plus c. In this case, we never wrote a because a is 1. For this one, you can write it in the form of x plus b over 2 squared. Then whatever you add, you subtract. Now I'm going to share a blank page to show you how to work out that one. So allow me to share this so that we can write. So we may be having equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So just a minute. Plus bx plus c, which is equal to 0. You can be having equation of that form. This is a quadratic equation, but trying to factorize is not possible because you can get a product of two numbers. Maybe that is a and c. You get the result, which is ac. But having a product that will give b, and when you multiply, it will give you ac, the product of ac may prove to be a problematic to some quadratic equation. And if we encounter this again, that's why you're going to add something. And if we add to the left-hand side, you're also going to subtract. But this equation is the form of ax plus bx plus c. So the first step is, let's eliminate a, or make a to be 1. If a is 1, you're going to have the equation x squared, plus bx plus c, which is equal to 0. So when a is equal to 1. So we can be having two numbers. So we take x plus a certain number. We can call that number k. Let's call that number k. This one will be squared. But this k is addition. So we must subtract that k squared plus c is equal to 0. This equation will still the same one in the above equation, that we are adding k, but all the same time we're subtracting k. So there's nothing that we have done to that. So now much concern is what is the value of this k? What if we replace the values of k with b over 2? K will be equal to b over 2. So that's now the case. This equation will be x plus b over 2 squared, minus b over 2 squared, we have squared here, plus c is equal to 0. And by that, you can solve that equation. You have completed the square method. Now, let me lab this and take you somewhere. The reason we're adding and subtracting. So I want you to remind you somewhere. When you expand the equation of maybe bracket, let me write here, you have into bracket A plus B, then squared. This is the same as the first number squared, A squared plus the second number squared, which is, the second number squared, which is B squared, plus 2, the product of the two numbers. 2, the product of AB, which is going to give you AB. So this one is going to give you A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. So that's now the case. Now, when you come by completing this square, we have this B squared, and that's why you're going to subtract 8 on the other side of the equation, because you don't want this. That's why you're subtracting. We are interested with the only two numbers. In this case, don't forget our A is 1. Our A is 1. So if our A is 1, this is 2B. And that's why we're dividing by 2. So it will be 2B divided by 2. We're going to have the values as B. Now, let's go to the equation and try to solve some equation. So I'm going to have this. Maybe that is how much complication. By example, you can get to this. So, example, we're going to come up with the example x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equals to 0. So, let me use minus 5. Let me use minus 5 for it to be hard to factorize. So, the product is minus 5. You multiply two numbers, you get minus 5. And you add that number, you get positive 3. Two numbers, when you multiply, it will give you 5. But when you add them, it will give you 3. That number does not exist or cannot be existing. So in this type of equation, remember, this is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Let's write them there. That's now the case. We want to make this one, or to solve this one, using completing the square method. So this x squared, you can have another number that you are going to add to x squared to make it a completing square method. So, for example, it will be going to be x plus b. Hello, students. What happened? I found myself alone. So I'm going now to begin this again. Allow me to erase this one because I know you're not together with this. So we're going to have an equation of the form x squared plus b all plus 4x plus 5 is equals to 0, or minus 5 is equals to 0, plus or minus 5 is equals to 0. Two numbers, when you multiply, get 5, but when you add, you get 4. Those numbers are next to nil, they don't exist. And now solving this one, we're going to solve it using completing the square method. We're going to use it by completing the square method, and by completing the square method, you're going to put squares on one side, the left hand side, and the others on the right hand side. We're going to add something. So you're going to have this as x plus b over 2 squared. This, the whole of this is squared. The whole of that one is squared, but you added a foreigner here. So because you added this foreigner, you are going to subtract 8, which is going to subtract b over 2 bracket squared. Then plus c. But don't forget, in this equation, you have these values of a, This is the values of B, this is the values of C. In this case, our A is 1. Always by using the computing the square method, always make your A to be 1. So whenever you have B, whenever you have C, substitute with the values of 4 and 5. So by substituting, we are going to have X plus 4 over 2, then the whole of this one squared, minus into bracket 4 over 2, this one squared, plus 5 is equals to 0. Also, the one that this one is equals to 0. So this done now the case, this can be X plus 2. 4 over 2 is 2, then squared, minus 2 squared, 4 over 2 squared, we are going to have 4 plus 5 is equals to 0. Minus 4 plus 5, if you draw a line here to make another page, you're going to have, this one is going to be 1, going to be positive 1. So if that is the positive one, you're going to have X plus 2 squared is equals to positive 1. When you take positive 1 on the other side of equal sign, it's going to be negative. So it's going to be negative 1. Then, therefore, our X plus 2 will be equal to square root of negative 1. Negative 1. Square root of negative 1. So, now, that not is the case. The square root of negative 1 you got, because for you to have X plus 2, you found square roots of both sides, the left hand side and the right hand side. By doing that, we're going to have X plus 2 into bracket is equals to square root of minus 1. And now, your X will be square root of minus 1. Yes, square root of minus 1 minus X. That's what you're going to have as the values of X using this example that you use here. Now, let us go to the book and try to fetch another example so that we can do together. And we'll have this. So, I'm going to share the book. Now, you are solving quadratic equation. Let's now look at the examples. I have our book in page 115, unit 7, algebra 7. So, we have this equation. What this equation? X squared plus 4x minus 3 is equals to 0. This one is not easy, or it's not in a position, it's not in being in a position where we can factorize this. So, you're going to write it in a way that we add certain value. So B in this case is 4. B in this case is 4. So let's write somewhere so that we can go to a blank page and work out it out. 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. So now I share the blank space. I need to work it to have a working space here. I'm going to have this equation x squared plus 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. What is the value of A? What is the values of A?
It's 1.
1. B is 4.
4.
And C is?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Now, you're going to write it in a way that you're going to use completing the square method, because we can't use factorization to solve for this. So, you're going to have x plus b over 2. B is 4. 4 over 2 is 2. Are we together? Then,
yeah,
this one is squared. But you added these 2, so you must subtract it. 2 squared. Then negative 3 is equals to 0. That is first step. So second step now, you can be having x plus 2 into bracket squared is equals to all minus 2 squared, you're going to have 4 minus 3 is equals to 0. Minus 4 minus 3, you're going to get minus 7. So x plus 2 squared minus 4 minus 3, you're going to get minus 7.
Yeah.
And where do you take the other? Yes? Minus 4 minus 3, so nice.
It's 7.
Yeah, it's minus 7.
Minus 7.
When you take the 7 the other side of equal sign, you're going to have positive 7. So you want to get the values of x. But the step that you're going now to do is to remove the square root sign by finding the square root of both sides. By the square root of this side, the left hand side, and the square root of the right hand side for you to remove this square root sign. When you do that, you're going to have x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus square root of 7. Plus or minus, because when you have a negative square, negative will give you positive, and positive multiplied by positive or positive square that will give you positive. So for you to have a square root of 7, it's going to be plus or minus square root of 7. So you want the values of x. You want the values of x, you take 2 the other side of the equal sign. If you take 2 the other side of the equal sign, this side is plus. When you come this side, it should be minus. It should be minus.
X equals plus or minus 7 minus 2.
So x is equal to plus or minus square root of 7 minus 2. Yes, that's how that is done. So going back to the book, that's how they are done. Now they are going to have x in this case. So now this is where we write this equation as x squared plus bx plus c in the form of x plus b into bracket squared plus q. This q is what we got when you had minus 4 minus 3, which gave us minus 7. So q was minus 7. P was 4 over 2. 4 over 2, which is b over 2. So p was 4 over 2. And the head, it will give you as 2. So this was got this one in the form of x plus 2 squared in this case. Q was minus 7 to have a perfect square. Have a perfect square. And this is done by, if you have x squared plus bx plus c, is the same as into bracket x plus p squared plus q. So we work out that one, we are going to get our final result as x is equal to plus or minus the square root of a number plus constant. So now the big question is, I'm going to share blank space, then copy this question for you, and you're going to work this question on my space. I want you to work out this equation, but you're going to work it on my space. I'm going to share the screen. X squared plus 4x plus 5. You're supposed to write it in the form of x plus p squared plus q. So let me write for you in my blank space.
Okay.
Write from there. So let me wrap this for you. So the problem is x squared. I want to wait a while. So I'm going to write down here plus 4x plus 5. Write it in the form of x plus p squared plus q. So you can work out here using my space.
Is it okay so far?
So I want us to argue about this plus. You added a 2 here, so you're supposed to subtract 8 for you not to answer the values of the equation.
Oh.
So
Okay.
it's supposed to be a negative. And we also remember to equate it to 0. It is equals to 0. So even yours should be equal to 0.
Okay.
Okay, continue.
And then now I
Let me just give you the hint. Yes?
So now I square root it.
No. Let me give you a hint here. So this one will be x plus 2 squared minus 2 squared 4 plus 5.
Now do I square root it?
Yes? Is equals to 0.
Now do I square root?
What? I can't hear you.
So then now do I bring these two to the other side? Did I square root both sides?
Yeah. So when you do that, you're having x plus 2 squared is equals to
equals to 4 minus 5.
You're going to have
4 minus 5.
4 minus 5. The final result is minus 1. So find the square root of both sides. You are going to have x plus 2 equals to plus or minus square root of negative 1. Because to find the square root of both sides. Now x is equals to plus or minus square root of negative 1 minus
2.
Minus 2. Yes, that's how that is done. Do you have any question on that?
No.
So if there is no question, I want to end the class there. It's 11:32. So, but wait for a while. Wait for a while. I'll stop share. I'll show you something. So I want in a free time before tomorrow we do exercise 3 star. That is page 116. 3 star and 7. 3 star and 7.
Tomorrow.
And you can do it by tomorrow lesson before tomorrow 11. Before tomorrow at 11 a.m. you do. Yeah.
Also, do I leave now?
Yeah, you can leave.